Some of the music of the 1960s was very profound and presented ideas and ideals that were to take root in the soul of the world. In February of 1964, Simon and Garfunkel wrote a song to commemorate the assassination of President Kennedy. It began, "Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seed while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence." The sound of silence. Silence has no sound, or does it? Have you ever experienced the sounds of silence? When I first watched that magnificent old movie, Lawrence of Arabia, I was so impressed by the absolute vastness and quiet of the desert. The desert is something unique, mystical, awe-inspiring, and terrifying. It is so big, so vast, so hot at times that it is practically as impenetrable as the sea. If a person goes into the desert alone and tries to cross it, that person will surely be lost and die. That film brought all of this home to me. Then I moved to California, which, unlike my home state, has a large desert. At first, I found the desert a bit ugly and more than a bit terrifying. The desert had a silence that was also impenetrable. But then I fell in love with the desert, and I recognized the hidden beauties of it. I also began to hear the voices of the desert. Desert does have its own voices, not despite its vast silence, but precisely because of it. Sometimes, especially at night, you can hear the winds of the desert, an eerie, haunting sound. Other times, when it seems you are hearing nothing at all, you hear the voice of God. We should not wonder that John the Baptist chose the desert as his stage, his pulpit from which to prophesy. He could have gone to the great city of Jerusalem and spoken to many more people, but he chose the silence of the desert. He chose to go into that vast nothingness and become a voice in the desert. What is a voice in the desert? It is a voice that appears lost. A voice in the desert is not heard because there is no one there to hear it. No one except those who go to the desert seeking the sounds of silence, seeking the voice of God. Do we hear the voice of God? Let us go into the desert and listen to those sounds of silence. Let us go to one of the vast deserts this planet offers and listen to the voice of God. Or let us go perhaps into our inner cities, to the desert of poverty. For there too, if we listen, we can hear the sounds of silence, the voice of God. Or perhaps we should visit an AIDS hospital in the middle of Africa and listen to the voice of the desert of despair. But we need not travel so far. The most terrifying desert of all is the desert in our own heart. That desert of fear, desert of doubt, desert of hidden pain, desert of despair. Let us go into the desert in our own soul and listen there to the sounds of silence. There too, in the silence, we shall hear the voice of God. Simon and Garfunkel, after writing 4 more stanzas to that profound song, ended with these words: "The words of the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls, and whispered in the sound of silence." Listen for those sounds of silence. They are there. Go into the desert, wherever that might be for you, and in the sounds of silence, listen for the voice of God.